Hey, welcome back to the Vault of Cult with your host Chris.
And Mark, you alright?
Yeah, I'm doing alright. I hope the listeners in Listener Land are doing alright. Yeah, you alright?
Yeah, mostly.
Where have we been?
Where have we been?
Where have we been?
Lazy bastards, that's where we've been.
We've been on sabbatical.
Yeah, we've been just not doing the pod.
Not doing the pod. Not doing it.
Basically.
We've had a bit of a break.
Yeah, we've had a bit of a break, but we're back.
We're back. Series 3.
Yeah, Series 3. And we've got loads of great content coming for you guys. We've got
this season, guys. We've got
films coming out of his arse. Oh,
Jesus Christ!
Loads of films, films that we think you'll really enjoy.
Interesting.
Yeah,
we've got a musical this season. We are
doing a musical this series.
Yeah.
But that's for the future.
That's for Ron.
It's for Ron.
It's for Ron that.
But
later on.
But so yeah.
Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back to
nice to see
the
you
Vault
again,
of
Mark.
Cult. It's opened up again.
We've opened the vault. We're ready to go.
Yeah.
And talking about opening the vault, what have we pulled out today, Mark?
Well,
what are we going to talk about today?
Today we're going to talk about the Neverending story.
Nice.
Yeah.
From 1984.
From 1984. Which, am I wrong? Is that the year that you emerged into the world?
No, it come out 6 months after I was born. Well, 4 months after I was born in the UK.
You go on in 1983.
Yeah. December 83. So I'm aging myself on the show right now.
He's getting on. Ancient old man.
I make noises now when I get off the chairs for no reason. And
mate, I've made those noises since we're about 15. Now, like, oh God, I don't want to.
So yeah, guys, today we're doing the Neverending story from 1984.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, and let's get on with the show.
Yeah, let's.
So, Mark, the Neverending story from 1984. Give us some box office figures.
Yeah. As you say, it came out in 1984 by Warner Brothers Pictures. Well, mostly by Warner Brothers Pictures.
Yeah, German production.
But also, yes, very much German production. It came out on April the 26th in West Germany, 1984.
Mm-hmm.
But it came out on the 20th of July in the US and many other territories. But, weirdly, it didn't come out until the 4th of April, 1985 in the UK.
Weird.
Fuck knows why.
Weird.
Absolutely no one got it.
That is a bit of a one there.
I can't really understand.
I can understand why German first, because German production, German book, it's based on a book.
It is based on a German book, and it was German production. And it's not unusual for it to get, well, it is unusual, but it's not unprecedented for a studio to release it to its original place earlier, a kind of nice
but
thing.
This was the norm back then. We get everything
noticeably, Disney released Peter Pan in Britain first.
Oh, so originally,
it's just a kind of thing, like a nice thing, like that's your thing.
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, you are right. We always used to get things later. Rather reverse the trend nowadays. We tend to either get it pretty much the same time, and I've noticed occasionally we've got it earlier.
Yeah.
If it's a British production, like Star Wars, we tend to get Star Wars nowadays earlier because they tend to be made at what's the studio? They're all made in England. Yeah, I forgot the name of it now.
Elstree and Shepperton, they're the two big ones.
Yeah.
That way they make the 007s and
all
the Marvel productions are always the base there.
So we have tended to get early, but well late. Nearly a year after it came out in Germany.
Man, crazy that. Yeah. But again, not unprecedented at the time. It's usual.
Yeah, weird. But
box office.
Box office. It had a budget of $27 million, although its actual budget were, of course, in Deutschmarks. So I had to find the conversion. It's like 60 million Deutschmark at the time. But it made worldwide a nice, round and tidy 100 million.
That's specific.
That's really specific. Wow.
How much did your film make?
100 mil.
100 mil?
100 mil. I'm not really sure I buy that, to be honest.
Yeah.
But...
that's
what Warner Brothers say it.
All right, brothers.
Yeah, all right. Both of them. Yeah. Both brothers going, that's how much we made. Don't tell anyone else. Tax reasons. But it only made 20 million domestic in the US.
Oh.
So it didn't even make its budget back in the US. Rest of it was made worldwide. Internationally. Now, the excuse at the time, well, not excuse, I suppose, the reason given at the time that it's a very, that it's so European, it was so European in its...
Don't agree with that.
Goes, yeah, I don't really...
It's very Americanised.
Yeah, I don't really see it, but that's what they said.
Okay.
That's what they said.
An excuse, basically.
Yeah, that was the excuse.
I know. Before we move on to fun facts, I thought this was a really interesting fact to do with the actual budget. It was the most expensive film at the time made outside of America.
Yeah, I did. I read that, and I was like, really?
And if you look at it now, adjusted for that, it's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. It's a lot of
fucking money. That
adjusted for inflation, which would, our entire lives at the minute is adjusted for inflation. But adjusted for that, a whopping great amount of money. Nowadays, if someone said we're spending 27 million on a film, it's nothing. Back then, we were like, "Ooh!"
If they made this film now, that's a $250 million film on all fucking day.
We'll come on to it, but they're probably going to make another one.
Yeah,
probably. Don't. Anyway,
we'll get onto that at the end.
Yeah.
So box office. That's it's a lot of money for a film at the time.
100 million that it made. It made a lot of money. This is a success for
a successful film,
Even if domestically it was a bit of a damp squib, but rest of the world were like, oh, we'll have it.
Well, don't forget as well, we'll get onto this, but then it was at the beginning of the fantasy thing in the 80s.
Yeah, a bit of a renaissance of fantasy in the 80s. Not always a stellar quality, I have to say.
No.
Some of them are a little bit... Oh God!
There is only a handful that stand above the rest, which we'll get onto. Right,
Willow.
Oh, that was a few years later.
Yeah.
Right. So, Neverending Story. The synopsis is basically a young boy takes refuge in a bookstore after being chased by the high school bullies.
That's the most 80s fucking plot line.
Here we go.
Do you know what I mean? American streets rife with bullies 100%. In the 80s.
And they're always gang up on one individual. Where's his mates?
Yeah, there's always
He's got no friends.
No, I know.
So he runs into this bookstore, finds a book called The Neverending Story about this fantasy place called Fantasia, and the story is Fantasia. There's this thing called the Nothing that is overtaking Fantasia, and basically it's destroying it bit by bit. And the other main plot of the story, the actual book the boy reads in the film Bastion, it's about a hero on a quest to save the world
from the nothing. And it's clear that Bastion is realising that he is influencing the story as it's going.
I think
along.
Him and Atreyu are the two sides of the coin, aren't they? Really?
Well, yeah. I mean, later in the film, it specifically says it shows when they get to the mirror that they are two sides of the same coin. You need both. Bit meta, this film, by the way.
Well, mate, I think we'll get
anyway,
into it. The themes of the thing. So that's basically the synopsis.
So who was in it?
Right. So first of all, it was directed by a guy called Wolfgang Petersen, a really famous director. He directed just a couple of things.
Just a few small.
Yeah. So Das Boot, he was known. He made that before, which is a really famous war film. He made Outbreak with Dustin Hoffman.
Oh yeah,
I like Outbreak. Good film.
I've not watched it in years.
It's a good film, Outbreak.
Yeah.
Which is about a dangerous virus. Outbreak.
An outbreak of a virus.
And he also directed Troy, and I know you're a fan of this.
I do. I have a soft spot on my heart. Is it a good film? Probably not, but
not seen
I have a soft spot for Troy.
Yeah, so when I seen that, I thought,
I know normally people go like, oh, do you like Troy? All the half naked men running about, and I'm like, listen, that's not the reason I like it. It's not the reason I like it either. But
there was a lot of naked men in it.
Well, torsos.
All right, well that's
ancient
all right.
Greece,
You'll take what you can get.
Ancient Greece. Yeah, you've got to top up the wank bank somehow.
100%. 100%. He also wrote it as well.
He did,
But the other guy that wrote it with him, right? Now, I thought this was a really interesting fact. This guy called Herman Weigel, and he had his hand in the Resident Evil film series.
Did he?
And the Fantastic Four films that come out like 20 years ago, you know, the 20th Century Fox ones.
Oh, right, yeah.
Johan Griffith, who plays Mr. Fantastic, and they did the Silver Surfer as the second one.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah, they're not great. They're not great
costume,
things.
Great.
I used to like them when I was a kid, but I think I've watched one in the past 5
really
years,
bad.
and I was like, "Oh, this isn't a good film, is it? It's not a good film."
No.
But yeah,
like you say, produced by Warner Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
I think
the German government was heavily involved in like the throwing the money at it.
Well, it was the book came out a few years earlier, and that was really popular. And it was that, and even that, I think we'll get onto it again. Something else we'll get onto. But the book isn't necessarily a kid's book.
No, it's not. No.
From what I've read and what I've gathered, the information.
Also, this is only the first half of that book.
Yeah.
Of the book, much to the author's chagrin. Like, we'll come on to it, but the author of the Neverending Story did not like this film.
And this is we'll get further on in the episode why we're at this stage now where they're talking about a remake or a TV series or where it's back hot topic again and big bidding war going on at the minute between streamers and the studios for the rights to this.
But yeah, the author hated this, sued them.
Did I didn't know that.
He sued them. He tried to at first, I believe, successfully to have himself not credited.
Really?
Right, as it. I can't remember. I only watched it yesterday, so we're doing.
I can't remember if it says like based on the book.
I can't remember
in the titles. I don't think it does.
So yeah, that part of the lawsuit was probably successful, but he also tried to get them to change the name so it couldn't be called the Neverending Story.
Really?
Yeah, he was that unhappy about it. Because at first, apparently, he was dead. Like he was keen to have his work turned into a film.
Yeah, we'll give you loads of fucking money.
And he got his money for it, but he hated absolutely nearly everything about the film. Hated it. But also, shut up and take your money.
Yeah,
just
say no. Then
just say no.
If that's a worry, don't do it.
Yeah, no, exactly.
But this happens a lot with literature.
But also, he sued him in a German court, and essentially the German court because I was saying the production of it, like obviously in America there's Hollywood and there's studio systems that essentially self-fund films.
Yeah.
Whereas in Europe, without as big of an actual market, most films in Europe tend to be
privately financed. So it's like produced by Bob and Bob's Enterprises.
Well, yeah, but like film councils and stuff like that, arts councils tend to be a little bit more heavily involved. Like, if ever you see a British production, you'll hardly ever see that without somehow, like the BBC, hasn't been involved, and the same in Germany.
4.
Yeah, Channel 4 is a big one. And same in Germany. The German public broadcasters have poured like part of its budget.
RTL's the big one in Germany, isn't it? RTL.
Isn't that the Irish one?
No, Irish
that's RTE.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Sorry. Anyway, it's not the point. We're segueing off.
We're going on with bearing.
But yeah, the German court were like, we've spent loads of money on it now. No.
Wow, okay.
The court were... That wasn't their official legal ruling, but behind the scenes, it's got to be the courts just went, no.
I'll tell you what, before we go on to the actual cast... Give me some facts. Give me some interesting things now, because we're kind of leading into that, aren't we?
Yeah. We're going to give us facts. We're shaking up the format for 100%. You guys.
Let's do it.
So like I say, the author hated it. Noah Hathaway, who played Atreyu, hospitalised twice. One not serious, the other one a little bit. He hurt himself, did this. You know the bit in the just near the end when Fantasia's breaking apart
when
and
he falls
and the wind blows in
you can
see him. Right, they did that by tilting the whole set. Kid fucking falls on the thing. The kid properly...
Why didn't he just hoist him up?
No, the kid properly... And you can still see it. There's reams of stuff on YouTube of like this stuff.
The footage.
And and you can't see him. You can't see him fall, but you can hear like a bang and there's loads of smoke. And kid falls.
Oh,
right.
Shit.
And the Germans bloody ruthless. Back in the 80s, weirdly, nowadays we think of Europe as being much more highly regulated than the US, but the US at the time had much stricter laws on child actors at the time, as opposed to Germany at the time.
Okay.
And the Germans were just like, fucking get to work. They got these child actors to work. Like, literally, they went to the actor, Noah Hathaway, in the hospital and was like, "Oh, Noah, we hear you had a fall. It was a very bad fall. Yes, but we would like you on the set on Monday, and if you are not there, you will never work again in Germany." Nice. Okay? And you're like, fucking hell. They're like, "Get well soon, auf Wiedersehen. See you Monday, or you no work ever again."
That is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he probably broke a leg or something like that. I don't know. I can't remember what he did, but yeah, hurt himself.
Genuinely.
Did this. And it was all like sets, like proper proper built sets. And I could barely believe that when I read it. You know, the swamp of sadness.
Oh,
we'll get there. We'll get there. But I could not believe that were a set. When I were a kid, I was like, I wonder what swamp they went to for that.
Well, again, you can see the way that everything is on screen. I think you can tell. The production is, you know, I'm highly praised of the production.
Yeah, it were filmed in a studio in Bavaria. Like half of it, the Fantasia parts were filmed in Bavaria in a film set, and the scenes with Bastian in our world was filmed in Vancouver,
right?
Canada.
Okay.
But they're very unspecific in the film as to what city they're in.
It doesn't. No,
it doesn't
it's just a city somewhere.
Any old city could be Vancouver, like.
Yeah, no, it doesn't specify where it's set.
This is very sweet. They told the studio that Warner Brothers, it will take 3 months. It will take us 3 months. It took them 12 months to film this. Took them 12 fucking months.
Not surprised.
Yeah. And riddled with like problems. Occasionally puppets playing up. Like,
here we go.
You know what I mean? But that's pretty standard. Like, the same thing happened in Jurassic Park with the fucking T-Rex's head.
Well, that's what happens when it's
practical effects. And we'll come on to the practical effects. Got stuff to say about the practical effect. But they had puppetry problems and they had horse-related issues. Unsurprising, considering what they did to the horse. Again, we'll come on to the horse, but the horse did not like being dipped in the thing. That horse, well, it were a number of horses, obviously. Well, there's usually a number, when it's animals, there's usually a few of them. The horses would panic. I mean, I'm not surprised. You're literally dipping them underwater.
Yeah, in some kind of...
Yeah. It took 4 weeks to get that one scene. The horses were not playing.
Oh, shit.
They were nearly thinking, shall we just make a puppet for the horse? Shall we just go and make a puppet? We've made all these puppets anyway.
When it's going under.
Yeah, like, do you know what I mean? The horses were properly like kicking off, and Noah were, because the horse were kicking off. The lad playing Atreyu were a bit scared. They were like, I'm not going near that horse. I'm not
surprised.
Difficulties.
So
there. But I just love that the Germans were like, no more than 3 months. Do not worry about it. It will be absolutely fine in 3 months. 4 months. Yes, still not ready. 5 months. It is still not ready. 6 months. We will need another 6 months. This is very difficult. It is very difficult for us. The horse and all the puppets and the little boy has hurt himself. And, do you know what I mean?
Took 12 months to film it.
12 months took me a year. Took me a year to get this film. So yeah, that is a fun fact. I quite enjoyed that.
I like that. I like these little.
Have you got any fun facts? For
I have got one that's what I think is really interesting. So, the actress that plays the Empress Tammy.
Childlike Empress.
Yeah, so actress called Tammy Stronach. She beat, to this role, Heather O'Rourke of Poltergeist fame.
Did she?
She did.
Wow.
Which is interesting.
That is interesting.
And she never worked again after this, really, because...
A lot of them do.
Really weird, she had, like...
She wanted to be a dancer.
Yeah,
this girl.
and apparently her parents who ran her affairs for acting, they said she was offered a lot of dodgy roles where wasn't suitable for a child her age. Yeah, that's
really?
what. Yeah, and that apparently she had some stalkers and stuff.
Oh, I did read about that. She had some stalkers and and
the parents shit themselves and like, so you're not being an actress now. No, that's it. We're not doing that. You can do something else. And I thought it's a bit creepy when I read that. Like if you really read like the shit she went through.
Yeah,
and she was only in that one film.
No, I know, and she did in fact. Nice end to the story, though. I guess she did in fact go on to go and be a dancer.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh, well, good.
Yeah.
Good.
So talent, she had talent, you know.
Yeah. But like, yeah, all the child actors, all three of them have never really been in out else. Well, the main one playing Bastion's been in one or two other things, but only as a kid.
So well, actually, I'll go on to the cast now. Right, so our main characters, Bastion, played by Barrett Oliver. Now he was in a film called Daryl.
Yeah.
Which he plays like a robot and he's like a pilot for some... I've seen it a few times. But
I think I've seen it once. But
yeah. And he was in Cocoons. The Cocoons.
The Cocoons.
1 and 2. Cocoon and then Cocoon.
He was in both of the Cocoons.
I quite like saying Cocoon.
Cocoon.
Cocoon, the Return.
Well, I know because you're a bit Manchester and you say it weird. Cocoon.
Cocoon. Thanks. And Atreyu, again, like you were saying, played by Noah Hathaway. And he was in the original Battlestar Galactica series.
He was.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Again, moving on to The Empress, I know that this was her only film. Mm-hmm. And then his dad, he's only in the film for a few minutes. He's played by Gerald McRanagh, and
I've seen him in something else.
He's in a lot of American TV. He was an American TV actor. He's been when he's seen his face on I was like, yeah. And the next couple of characters, Urgel and Engiwook, which is like the scientist and his missus made funny.
Funny pair.
Urgel, played by Patricia Hayes, a really famous British TV actress.
She's in Willow.
Yeah, Willow.
She's in Willow.
Yeah, Willow. She was in Willow. Yeah, you're right. Loads of from the 70s, loads of programs.
Yeah.
And her husband, Engiwook, is Sidney Bromley, and he was in American Werewolf in London, but he's a very stage actor, and he'd done a few bits here and there.
I like that. I like those two. We'll come on to what we liked and disliked, but I like these two. What a name, Engiwook.
Engiwook, I know. And then obviously you've got the Rock Eater.
Yeah,
and Falco and Gmark, which is the evil fucking...
Yeah.
And they're all voiced by a really famous voice artist, Alan Oppenheimer. Most famous for being Skeletor in Masters of the Universe.
Yes.
Hey man! But he's really... and he did Merman as well. Yeah, he did loads of voices, but he's very famous.
Isn't that good that he was 3 characters in this? And you'd never know. Yeah. You would never know.
No, yeah.
Totally,
it's really good,
totally different. Because sometimes where it's like, and they voice multiple people, and you're like, you can tell. Yeah. You can tell. You can't tell in this. The Rockbiter sounds nothing like Falco. No. Nothing like Gmark.
My hands.
Oh, I know.
Oh, Mark.
And he's a strong
My hands are strong. And he's like, I couldn't hold them in my hands. Like, fucking hell.
Rockbiter. Mate, anyway, we can't get on to get too much.
And then obviously you've got at the beginning of the film who kind of introduces to in the first 20 minutes sets up the film is Teeny Weeny, who's played by Deep Roy,
who was an Oompa Loompa
in Charlie and Chocolate Factory.
He was all of the Oompa Loompa.
He was.
Well, he was the main.
And have you noticed that he's dubbed?
Yes, I thought
dubbed. I went, he's not saying that. He didn't say that. No,
I was like, that's not his voice.
Clearly dubbed.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it. And then that Night Hob who's got the
frightened me to death when I were a little boy.
With his bat.
Yeah, his bat didn't scare me. His face just scared me.
With the hair, he's like a witch, but he's a nice guy.
Scary face. I remember being a little boy and scared me more than Gmark. Did him.
Yeah, don't I? Scary.
Yeah.
Right, so, let's move on. So there's pretty much the main cast. That's most of the characters are fucking animatronic anyway, and it's just voices by Alan Oppenheimer.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, let's get into it then. So, Chris, first thoughts. What were your first thoughts going into it, and
well, again, I hadn't seen it since I was probably in my early teens.
Yeah, well, I was saying this to you earlier. I don't think I've seen this for at the very least a decade. This film, I don't.
And like you were saying to me, it was one of your films. It was a go-to.
I hammered this video. Absolutely.
See, it wasn't one of them for me. It wasn't one of them. It wasn't one I revisited often.
It's one of them.
I don't know why.
It is such a cult classic. Is this film?
100%.
It is almost the definition of the reason why we made this podcast. Is this sort of film.
It's definitely falls in that category, 100%.
And
when you're being parodied by things like The Simpsons, and even now in Stranger Things, you've made your mark, and that is enough.
Exactly.
That says once you've done that, and you're in the popular culture, in the fucking consciousness of, again, when you're being parodied by The Simpsons, you fucking made it. That's what they say, don't you?
This film was probably one of my go-to films. I had it on video and everything, and I just I loved it. But obviously, as you grow up, you don't constantly revisit the things you love when you're a kid. I don't think at the very least I've watched this for a decade. So go on then, because you said you hadn't watched it for a long time. What did you like about it?
First of all, opening theme song.
The Neverending Story.
Banger. Don't care what anyone fucking says.
And I was saying this to you earlier, Chris. Don't you just love that they were making a film called The Neverending Story, and the theme tune has got something to do with the fucking name of the film. Unlike nowadays, where it'd just be some singer singing a vaguely related song, and I hate that. I absolutely hate that. Oh, we've just got Beyonce to do an original song, and you're like, why? What for? Get a proper composer and a proper lyricist to make a thing, and that's what they did.
It's like film posters. It's just got lazy now. It's just lazy.
It is just it. It has.
And it's one of them things where it's just lazy, innit?
They made a proper,
100%
proper film theme, and it's
by Lamal from Kajagoogoo, the British band from the 80s, who had a massive hit with Too Shy, which was their big hit.
Oh, the lyricist as well. He was the lyricist on The Breakfast Club.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah, John Hughes film.
Yeah,
I do know The Breakfast Club.
Yeah, of course you know The Breakfast Club, but the song, Don't You Forget About Me. Yeah.
Who sings that now?
I forgot. Anyway, that'll just rack on your little brain.
No, I've got to move on.
Got to move on.
Move on. Simple Minds.
Yeah. I was just going to say it was going to appear in your mind. Simple Minds.
Simple Minds.
Yeah. But, yeah, so, thing that you like, opening theme.
Bang on. And
the music, just generally, I think, has got to be said. Really good.
Right, so, I do agree with you. I think we do like to mention scores on the show.
We do like to mention
scores. I really, really liked the score. Perfect. Fantasy score. Really, really good. Right, but I noticed something, right? So we're going to, we're getting in there now with the other side of the coin.
Oh, we're deep diving now.
We're deep diving now, right? Yeah. Is it me, or when a set piece was happening, or there was a scene that the score kind of heightened, it seemed to me that...
See, you're on squeaky chair this time.
Fucking don't. Right, I always thought it was like... I don't know if you noticed it, but the score seems to build and rise and then just stop. Whether the scene is shortened or... Did you not find that?
No, I didn't notice.
Mate, I watch it again and
I'm not denying that does happen. I didn't.
I noticed. I was like,
no.
Whoa! But that's all the way through the film and was like, you're not letting the music breathe with the scene. It's almost whether they've just gone, we're going to have to fade the end of the music because we're cutting this scene to fit the length of the scene instead of...
Okay. All right. No, I didn't notice
it,
but...
I really did.
Oh, okay.
And I noticed it when Atreyu's riding his horse before he gets to the fucking...
When we get montaged.
Yeah.
Massively montaged.
And it's like... No, and then it's like... Right, next scene, and it goes back to Bastion and the thing, and I'm like... Oh, right. But then I don't know why.
I think that's probably got something to do with the cutting.
I think so,
film.
The editing. Also, talking about the editing, I'm pretty sure there was violence cut out of this film.
Right. I put, right...
Clearly,
normally, admittedly, we try to split up as positives and as negatives, but apparently we're not. We're going to mix them in together this time. Choppy, this film.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, choppy. Do you know what I mean?
Right, no, listen.
I'm like, you can tell.
Listen, I've got a counterpoint to that.
We've got stuff cut.
Got a counterpoint to this. Yeah. The first 45 minutes, it's fucking pacey.
It is.
And then it slows right down.
Yeah. I thought that as well. From my recollection when I was a kid. First of all, we'll talk about length of time. Oh, we never gave them the length of time. 92 minutes.
Bang on.
This is.
I love that.
Let's just have a brief moment to praise for 90-minute film. But
is it all the better for it though?
I don't think it does. I think this film could do with at least an extra.
I think they've made to go out to go. We need an hour and a half. We need an hour and a half.
I have to get just take in the different media arena that we're living in, whereas studios would be. Back then, we're going, we need a film to be an hour and a half. Nowadays, 100%. It'd be like, no, it can be 5 hours. And
there's definitely scenes missing me. And I think there's a couple of scenes of violence. I think there's that scene where Atreyu, because you don't see his horse. Like, obviously, like you're saying, they had issues with the horses. But normally in a film like that, you would see the horse disappear. But instead, you don't. It's like his head's above, and then it's like him, like...
Well, the horse, they had issues with the horse. The horse would panic.
But another scene is when Atreyu falls off Falkor, and just before the nothing he just destroys it, and he meets the fucking wolf, Gmork, right? When Gmork like dives out, it's almost like they've cut it, and then the next thing is on the city.
There's a cut as well when Atreyu meets Mauler. There's a cut. Because Bastion screams for no reason. And that's, where they hear Bastion? They hear him. Bastion screams for no reason. Because you'd be like, it's just a turtle's head. Why are you screaming? You've seen scarier things in the book already.
Oh, when he's telling him how far the distance
because
is.
Because they cut us in the book. Admittedly, I haven't read the book, but I've read up on it.
Okay, yeah.
In the book, Atreyu's talking to Mauler, but while he's trapped by a spider's web, and a massive spider monster comes to try and get him, and Bastion screams, and everybody stops because they can hear Bastion scream. It must be that they cut that, because I immediately thought to myself, why does Bastion scream?
I didn't notice that, but I'll look out for that.
Do you know what I mean? Why does Bastion scream then? Because he's got nothing to scream about. He's just a turtle's head coming out. That sounds really dirty, doesn't it?
It's massive turtle.
It's massive. All right, it's a massive turtle's head, but there's no indication that Mauler's going to hurt.
He doesn't. He just talks to him. He doesn't even want to talk to him.
Oh, I love Mauler as well.
I'm allergic to you.
Oh, I love that. I love Mauler. Mate, not that it matters.
Mate, the puppets, the practical effects, the production design is all fucking on the screen. You can see where they spent that 20 million. 100%.
And something has to be said for a good practical effect. Something has to be said. How we long for a practical effect.
Because look at what you can do with that turtle. Even now, it looks really good. It still looks really good.
Mate,
and it'd be CG now, it'd be dog shit.
Yeah, it'd be shiny CG. I tell you what else, and I used to, and I think I still do, even though I suppose it doesn't really hold up, but Gmork, the wolf, I suppose it got his head in his little coat.
No, but
I suppose it doesn't hold up. but I really appreciate the sheer skill that must have gone into putting that wolf's head together. And his mouth moves and his glowing green eyes.
Mate, his introduction with the lightning bang, it's just like a flash of white light, and you see him for a second, you're like, and then it's just his green eyes, you're like, oh, that. He's naughty, him.
Yeah, it's a naughty boy. It's a bad dog. It's a bad dog.
Mate, and it's got him with like blood hanging off his face, like wallow.
The imagery
dark.
Really good.
Yeah, really good.
And I've seen people like pick on Falkor, saying that he looks...
I like him.
But it's Falkor, shut up.
It's a dragon/dog.
Okay, it's a dog dragon. It's a look dragon. He's a look dragon.
Yeah, it's a look dragon.
He's a look dragon.
Yeah, and he's a really nice guy.
He's a nice guy. Stop picking on Falkor.
Well, I like Falkor.
Yeah, I like Falkor. But yeah, the practical effects. Wow.
I really appreciated it, mate. I did appreciate it.
The cash is on the screen.
It is
there.
100%. At the end of it, I thought. I mean, even halfway through it, like the money's there. You can see why it was an expensive production. Yeah. And it's there, and you can see why the director went on to straight to Hollywood, bigger and better things. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's a good director. He's well directed.
I do sort of miss that thing. Because, for one thing, actors act better when there's something for them to act with.
Well, how many interviews you see now with the Marvels, it's like just a green ball and a stick.
No, I know. And it's like...
and you build in a step and a wall, and the rest is just green screen.
I know. And you just like...
come on.
Some of the artistry, I feel like, is lost, and it's not with this.
Again, they don't make films.
They don't make that. Yeah, I think that's at the midpoint of the podcast. I think one of it as good takeaways from this is that they don't make films like this anymore. They simply don't.
They don't.
Just the sheer energy that has been put into a children's film, to a kids' film, is this. But while it being said as a kids' film, bit dark.
Mate, this is a common thing with fantasy films in the 80s.
Not a criticism.
Not at all.
I'm not saying that as a criticism.
Not at all.
Because I think nowadays a fantasy film for kids is namby-pambying to them, right? As in, we can't scare the little dears. We can't worry them. We can't frighten them. Whereas this one, it's not afraid.
Especially, that's a dark character, that Mark.
That is dark.
He's a fucking wolf, dark. And he even tells me, I'll kill you. I'll kill you.
Yeah,
he says, come any closer.
And I will kill you. I'll tear you to shreds.
He says that.
And
he's fucking blood hanging off his fucking teeth.
Because that's really good, because Gamark don't know that he's a trio as well. It's good.
That's why he attacks him, He's like, I'm here to fucking help the nothing, and I am... So Fantasia is apparently the manifestation of us,
human imagination
and hope and fear and.
Well, I'll get into that when we're talking about themes, because I've got something to say about themes.
There's a handful of interesting themes in the film, but that's because it's from a book, and you get that it's
the darkness of it, of the hard themes. It get properly deals with death and stuff like that.
It doesn't explain where his mum's dead.
His mum's dead, yeah.
But is it
Bastion's, that is?
But obviously in our world, Bastion, and it doesn't. You don't know how his mum died or whatnot. No. And you get it's probably 6 months after that happened.
It's clearly very recent, because early on in the film, when he's having breakfast with his dad, it's clear that it was very recent. The kids,
there's an awkwardness there. His dad don't know how to speak to him.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like his dad as well. I know he's only briefly in it, but I kind of like his dad because he's clearly struggling with it himself. He's clearly just kind of thrown himself into his work, and he's just like, I don't know what. He's like, I've got to go to work. He's not a bad dad. He's not a bad dad. He's really sweet with his kids. He just don't know how to deal with it because grief. And I thought that's a good little scene of setting up his family dynamic. It's not good, but it's not because anyone's bad. It's just not good.
Yeah, and again, I think that obviously leads into the storyline with Atreyu being the other side of the coin to Bastion, and then it's finding strength and finding hope, and you're getting through the difficult
even through
things.
hard times.
Yeah.
Even when you've lost someone, because who does Atreyu lose very early on in the film? He loses his horse.
He says, "I love you." He says to the horse, "I love you." That's what he says, doesn't it? As the horse is dying.
I think I've just got to spend a moment talking about the scene where Artax, the horse, dies, because it is probably the most famous scene in the film.
Mate, if you're a kid, right, and if you're about 7 or 8 years old, mate, you're crying your fucking eyes out,
floods of tears when I was a
child.
Floods of tears.
Mate, even I was like, the poor horse. The horse is dying. And he's like screaming like, come on.
And mate, that kid goes all the way through all the stages of grief. Because what is it? It's Bastian's grief as well. Exactly. He goes through all the stages of grief. At first, he doesn't accept it. He's like, oh, come on, to the horse. And then he tries bargaining with it. He tries, I'll give you something if you just come move. In. And then he's like it's begging with it. Yeah. And then brilliantly, he gets angry with the horse as well. Just fucking move. Well, he don't swear, but you'll die. Yeah. Move. And the horse just won't. The sadness is taking him. The sadness in the swamp. Although I do think to myself, as an adult and jaded, you think, well, why wouldn't you start sinking immediately? But don't be a dick.
Move on.
Move on. Just move on.
The horse is dying, and that's what you're thinking about,
mate.
Mate, if you're a kid, mate, I'm horrible.
Mate, it was probably. I distinctly remember watching this as a little boy, and my mum had to turn it off.
Oh, not surprised,
my mum literally turned it
between the ages of 5 and 8. You're crying your eyes out to this scene. I don't give a fuck. Mate, crying your eyes out.
There's this scene. There are two really big moments in my life where I've been crying, properly crying at a film. It's this, when S03, when Mufasa dies in fucking in Lion King,
off the fucking cliff,
and Champ.
Go back and listen to Lion King, guys. We've done an episode.
We have done an episode, and Champ.
Oh, stop. Stop, Champ!
Oh, if you've never watched Champ. Parents out there, if you've never watched Champ and you've never put your child in front of if you just want to watch your child burst into tears.
Oh, Champ.
Champ!
So basically, Champ is a film from the 70s, right? Yeah. And it involves...
It's about
a boxer. And it's Angelina Jolie's dad John Voight. Yeah. And it's got a really...
All
I'm saying is $1 Million Baby.
Yeah, it's a really sad ending.
Really
so
sad.
if you want to traumatise your child and just watch them burst into tears. Champ, wake up, Champ! Oh. Hey, don't wake up. Hey, don't wake up. So
spoiler alert! Champ dies at the end of Champ.
Dies.
But the little boy's like scragging out saying, "Come on, Champ!" And it's like heartbreaking.
But Artax's scene in this. It's another one.
Yeah, it is, mate. Yeah, they've definitely got it. The tone of it
where
right.
is it? Where it's like, I love you, don't die, and he's there rugging it, and the horse is gone. And for a second, you think to yourself, "Oh, they're not going to kill the horse," and then
gone. Next scene, he's just not there. The horse is under. He's just not there.
Horse is underwater, drowned.
Deaded. He's
deaded and drowned.
Horse is deaded.
Yeah. Really sad. And the film's just got to move on, but you see how
and then he's on that journey on his own then.
Yeah, he's alone, like Bastian is alone. You know what I mean? Or he feels alone.
Doesn't his dad come looking for him?
Yes, no one comes looking for him.
What school has an attic like that?
I know!
What school has an attic like that?
I immediately thought that. Where's he go to school? Fucking Hogwarts.
Yeah.
What is that?
Cobwebs of fuck and all that mad shit knocking about.
I know. Anyway.
This movie, I'm not like I'm dogging it down or anything, because I enjoyed it. Right, Bastian's mate is the weakest part of this film.
Right, I think just spending a few seconds on the Bastian, I'll just put to one side for a minute.
Come on.
I really like Atreyu. Hammy,
but he's better.
Hammy is better. He's better than Bastian.
Way better.
But Hammy, he's not just Hammy. He's a full gammon joint. Is this lad? But I get it. It kind of fits his character.
I'm guessing he was about 13, 14 at the time.
Bastian's is a touch annoying.
He's the worst part of this film.
He doesn't ruin it for me. He's
not ruining it, but he's the weakest part of the film for me.
But yeah, he's
I know. His accent isn't great, Mark.
Well, it's why he's just a child actor and he's never been. He's probably he's like that little girl in Matilda, Mara Williams
with a lisp.
Yeah, Miss Doubtfire.
Yeah.
Like, she's another one. Like, she never went anywhere beyond being a child actor. Macaulay Culkin as well. Never see him in anything else as an adult.
Yeah, it's very rare that they cross over, isn't it?
Yeah,
but yeah, I think it is the weakest part.
Yeah, I think so. But the other child actor, the girl,
she's in it for about 3 minutes.
She is in it for about three minutes, but it gets very meta when she's doing it. Right. When she's having her bit right at the end, and we're not dwelling on loads of plot points here. You know the score. You've seen the Neverending Story, listeners.
And if you've not,
go see it.
It's a really good example of a kids / fantasy film.
Yeah.
And again, not to interrupt what you're about to say, but I'd like to talk about a little tiny bit about the 80s and fantasy films. And
yeah, we'll get to it. We've got time. But just. It gets a little bit weird and a little bit meta when she is talking to Atreyu, but she's clearly talking directly to Bastian as well. But then she also goes, while he's been watching you, others have been watching him. So it's like she's sort of saying that she's aware that Bastian is reading this in a book, but that we're watching Bastian in a film. In a film sense. Very, very strange. And I didn't get that when I was a kid. So I only got it when I were an adult.
Right, so...
Now, watching it.
Interesting you saying that, because I can link into that. And I think the last 5 minutes of this film, I'm like... What?
Well, it's because they didn't know how to end it. This is only half the story. This is only first half of the story.
Right, so Fantasia, right, guys? Fantasia gets fucked up by this nothing, right? But then Bastian is getting involved in, like you say, in a very meta way, and he's always been part of the story, and he's clearly the other half to Atreyu. Atreyu is his self in the fucking for this world Fantasia, right? But you've got, and anyway, to save the world, he has to, Bastian in our world has to say her name, right? Until the very end, there's no hint of this, right? Just to say a name, and he just says, Moonchild! Where's that come from? Right.
Well, the hint earlier on in the film that it's going to be his mother's name. The hint
this is what I mean!
And I always thought to myself, thought to myself...
Julia!
Yeah, Angela, like...
Moonchild. He just screams Moonchild out the window.
And I'm like, your man can't be called Moonchild.
And then I thought, right, so that's I was like, oh, okay, you're pulling me out now.
I was like, yeah, it don't really make sense. But their initial intention, apparently, now this is cold hard rumour, is this.
Okay.
That I saw other reviews, and they were hinting at, essentially, they at first... or the studio didn't want people to hear what he screams out. They wanted to have a flash of thunder, and you wouldn't be able to hear it, so the audience could think whatever it was that they wanted for the Empress to be called. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's why the meta thing was like, almost like, you're all watching it too. Give me a name. Right.
Right.
But then they didn't go with that. They just went... Moonchild! And to be honest, I think they should have gone with that idea. The original idea. Yeah, it's a bit naff, but it's a better idea than Moonchild!
This leans into why I think these chunks of this film that they didn't film, or they ran out of money, or the time, or editing down to get an hour and a half.
I must stress to your listeners, what I've just said is it's not verified. I am giving you total rumour here.
But it makes... Okay, well, it does make kind of sense. Yeah, I'm going with this, right? So... The Moonchild thing confused me at the end.
Yeah, I don't get it.
And then all about making a wish.
Well...
I'm going to give you some wish. Unlimited. Here you go. So now you give me a name, I've got a grain of sand in my hand. She tells him I've got a grain of sand, Bastian.
And you can make wishes.
And you can make wishes. How many I've got? As many as you want. Right, so the next thing, right?
You've got to carry on making wishes.
Yeah. I'm like, right, so...
Right.
She's saying you've got to make... I'm telling you, I'm going to give you these wishes, but you've got a wish for Fantasia. Right, so he does that, and then the first thing he says is, he don't even tell what the first wish is. It just, I'm riding on the back of Falco. All the way in the real world now. So he's chasing the bullies from the beginning of the film down the same street that they put him in the fucking
That's
bin
one
at
of
the
the
beginning.
things, by the way, that the author fucking hated.
Mate, I'm just like, oh, no, I'm even further now. And then the fucking kicker at the end, that stupid voiceover. And Bastian had many more adventures at the end.
Again, voiced by Mr. Oppenheimer.
What?
Yeah.
He had many more adventures than returned home.
It's because they didn't know how to end it, because it's not the end. It's not the end of the story.
It just goes a bit to pot at the end for me, that.
Yeah, it does sort of lose its way a touch at the end.
It does. Didn't...
Right. I think it all links in, because this is it's a very esoteric story, and it's a very esoteric book.
Again, I think that...
Right.
Because it's not a kid's book.
But basically, in a way, this film and the book that comes from it, and this is a bit of a negative, does have a bit of a bad attitude. It's got a bit of a chip on its shoulder as this thing, because what it's really about is people are losing their imagination. The world of Fantasia is dying because people are losing not only hope, but their imagination.
That's a byproduct of loss.
Yeah. But it's also because, like, the bookkeeper even says this, don't you want to be off, like, playing your little video games and stuff like that?
And he went, I've read all these books, like Treasure Island and this, that and the other.
And it's almost like the author is saying, and it's a definite theme in the book, apparently, that he doesn't like modern media, essentially. He thinks people's imagination are dying because people don't read enough books and stuff like that.
A message, right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's that, and it's kind of something that I don't think that's aged well now. I feel like that theme. Because I like book, I like the book.
You like to read.
I like to read. But I always think my also love of TV and my love of games and stuff like that isn't hurt by also my love of books and stuff like that. My imagination isn't dying. It's not. It's that old person. It's brain rot. This is proper thing. That's what the nothing is. People's imagination and stuff is.
But
dying.
I do think they try to. I mean, because of he's clear that his mum's died. Because we don't find out why and how and this, that and the other. But I do think that does link in with the theme of loss and dealing with loss.
I think
because
that's
you feel
so
sad,
good.
you're not happy and you're not thinking good thoughts.
Yeah. I think that's the real meaning and what people took from it. But like, it does also have this like chip on its shoulder of like, oh, aren't we the better art form? And I think the film wanted to pull away from that and go into...
Like you're saying, it's adapting a book, isn't it? And
exactly.
That, and they wanted to make...
And so, therefore, with using the book, but can't really go for its central message, because it is a film, and also only the first half of the book, the ending's always going to be a bit muddly, because they don't really know where they can go.
How can you adapt just half a book and then where's the full stop for that?
Yeah, exactly. How can you do only half of a never-ending story?
Well,
do you know what I mean?
Well, they continued it.
Well, they did continue it. Have you watched the sequels?
I'm pretty sure I've never watched the third one. Right. But I've definitely seen the second one, because the rock biter, his family's in it and his missus is in it and they've got a kid, and I think the Night Hobbs in it and Teeny Weenie's in it again. But I've definitely seen but definitely not seen the third one.
The second film is unconscionably boring.
The next chapter, it's called.
Yeah, and it's not a good chapter. It's not.
It might be the next one, but it's not the best one.
The kid playing Bastian is worse than the kid playing They should have.
Yeah, we do know they changed it each time, didn't they?
They should have just got the same. They should have just got the same. And the third one,
Escape from Fantasia. So you don't want to go there now. You want to come home.
No, all the stuff. The Rockbiter's kid, and Falco and someone else all get brought to the real world with Bastian. It's got Jack Black in it on the third one.
Isn't he a bully in the film?
Yeah, it's called The Nasties. It's so silly.
Bad.
I hate the second one. Unconscionably boring. Right.
You know what? As soon as I finished watching this, I was like, What's the next one now?
But the third one is ridiculous. It's a comedy film, not a terribly good one.
And nothing to do with the book at all, is it?
Yeah, no. But I've also got a bit of a soft spot for that. Like, I had it tapes off at telly.
Did you?
I've watched it a lot, but it's shit.
I'm 100%.
Like the rock biter, he's riding on his bike and he sings "Born to Be Wild." And it's so weird. And they changed Falco's voice. Instead of him being like, slightly wise but a bit goofy dragon, he's full on like, I'm goofy kind of dragon. It's weird.
I might.
And the rock biter has a kid in the third one, and
he's in number 2. The kid's in number 2.
Yeah, no, but it talks like, "Hello, Dada, hello," and
like the dinosaurs, the baby from Dinosaurs.
I think it might be the same voice actor.
Oh no,
it's wretched. But I did watch it a lot when I was a kid. But
I'm gonna watch number 2 just.
Well, you can watch 2. 2 is boring, but 3 is ridiculous film. 3 is a ridiculous film.
No,
and weird Jack Black hamming it up.
Not only did it have 2 sequels, but it spawned an animated TV series.
Did it?
A live-action TV series.
Did it?
A stage play, multiple stage plays, and a ballet. A ballet.
I can see it being a ballet, though, because they get a lot of fantasy things get turned into ballet sort of things.
But loads of, mate, it's been adapted for the stage, loads.
Yeah. And I can see that. It's very stagey in how it's put on anyway, so I can see how that would work. It would work on a set.
Yeah. Like, yeah, you can interpret it, can't you, in a certain way. Also, about 20 years ago, I think the publishing house who owned the rights to it, or something at the time, they asked a lot of different authors to write books, but set in Fantasia. There was about 7 or 8 books by famous German authors, and they went, "Oh, we want you to write a story set." It's like going to fucking someone and saying, "Set a story." Like, I want to write something about like Middle Earth, and all right, well, I can use certain characters and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, animated TV series that lasted 2 seasons, and a live action TV show that got 26 episodes. Mm-hmm. I've not seen the animated TV series on the live. I didn't even know, but the live action TV show was like 20 years ago.
I mean,
it was on HBO.
Really?
It was on HBO.
In terms of legacy, this film's got a long legacy, and not just in its own series. Like, you can see the influences it's had on just media.
Well, again,
in general.
It's like, it's one of the first fantasy films. Again, you had in the 80s, you had stuff like, I think the production of it and the style of it is reminiscent to me of kind of films like Krull, and say Willow. Willow's a bit more medieval.
Willow's and like you say, a bit later. I have a soft spot for Willow anyway. I think it's a good little film. Yeah, little film.
My youngest daughter's named after that film.
Yeah, I like Willow.
Yeah,
it's a good film.
But yeah, again, and Conan come out the same year as this as well, and that was dark adult fantasy. So again, fantasy was in the conscious in the 80s, and there's a hell of a load of really decent...
And then it dies again. It's fantasy.
Until Lord of
the Rings revived it again.
And then 10 years after that, we got Game of Thrones.
But it might go in 10 year cycles, a bit of fantasy. So. But yeah, it's the influence of it so all over media. Like I noticed it were only when I were watching it again for the podcast. Like, for instance, one of my favourite games is a game called Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh yeah.
And that's like a fantasy thing. Yeah. You basically have to fight these big colossus, and you have to climb up.
But in the storyline, like, you're the monster by killing these monsters. That's
of it also. But the main character's got a horse in which he's got a very close relationship on, and just near the end, you have to leap over something, and the horse don't make it, and the horse falls down. And my immediate thought would like Artax. The horse dies, although the horse doesn't die.
But again, there's a band name of Atreyu that's there, and and there's a couple of bands out there that have wrote songs and been influenced, and again, like you say, it's been parodied in The Simpsons and more recently Stranger Things.
It's just
clearly
all over the place. It's just and
it's not a bad film, guys.
And it's great, and it's a great little film as well.
I'm gonna rate first.
Go on.
I'm going to give this a solid 7. Because it's a great kids' film. It's a great fantasy film. Script's a little bit weak, but that's not holding against it in any way, shape, or form.
No.
It's worth a watch. So I'm giving it a 7, Matt. What about you?
I'm also going to give it a 7.
I like that.
I am going to nice little moment of agreement between us. I'm also going to give it a nice tidy 7.
Again, guys,
it's a tight little film. It's an enjoyable little film. It's totally of its time, and it'll make you miss that kind of era in film.
Yeah, with the practical effects.
And
a little bit of darkness, touch of darkness,
a little bit
for
of darkness, and not too worried about scaring your kids as well. Like,
miss the days.
Good little film. This, I don't think I could say I had too many problems with it now watching as an adult to give it an 8.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's not one of the best kids films ever made. It's not, but it's a really good example of the genre.
Yeah, you'll be happy with it.
I think so. You should go out there, guys, and after listening to this, get it watched immediately.
Yeah.
And share your thoughts with us, guys.
Yeah,
get us on the socials. We're on Instagram at The Vault of Cult. Get us on at thevaultofcult@gmail.com.
We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, we'd love to. Get in touch, guys. We hope you enjoyed listening to the show as much as we've enjoyed recording it. And join us now. We're on season 3. This is episode 1. Yeah. And we've got loads of good stuff to come. So thanks for joining us, guys. Take care.
Bye.